following program is brought to you by the Internet Broadcasting Organization. It's Wednesday night, so listen up, because it's time for Gay Guy Straight Girl, where candid advice about love and life meet our hilarious, straightforward personality at www.gayguystraightgirl.com.
And guess what? It is Wednesday night, and you are tuned to Gay Guy Straight Girl. Thank you for listening. And if you haven't known, my name is Mr. JoJo. To my left is my co-host,
Danny
host.
DIB.
All right, and we have a special guest, local artist here from the Tampa Bay area. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's up, you guys? I am Monica Delgado.
All right.
I'm happy to be here, man.
Thank you for being here.
I'm so excited to be here. All right, but yes, this is love. I've known her for years. I mean, we're from the same place. It's so exciting. We might as well be related.
Say where you're from.
Awesome.
Say where you're from.
We're both from Connecticut. Awesome. Connecticut, New Haven. She's from Hartford. It's so exciting. It's so exciting to have her here. I'm really happy.
I am. I'm glad you came on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and start giving out shout-outs. Do you have any shout-outs today?
I do. I have two shout-outs. One is for Josh, who's listening right now and calling in. He was supposed to show up today.
What's up?
He would have been our straight guy on the show finally.
We haven't had one of those yet, but we will.
He couldn't make it. But so anyway, the other person is Vanessa. I know she's listening too, and I hope you call in, Vanessa.
Woo!
She's my coworker.
Yes.
So I hope she calls in tonight.
All right. Any shout-outs you want to give out?
I guess my crew, Guam Massive, and my mom that's probably watching right now.
All right. Hi, Mom. Yes, I hope you are watching. Anyone else?
That's it.
All right, good. And of course, I always want to get off shout out to the fans, to the listeners, producers, of course. Thank you guys. You make this happen every Wednesday at 8:30 or a little bit later after. I know, right? It's exciting. I want to give a shout out to my brother Johnny, who I miss so much. We were talking about him today. Johnny, we miss you so much.
What's up, Johnny?
And of course, just to all the people who are watching and family and friends back home. So yes, let's go ahead and first open up the lines. Make sure you guys start giving us a call. First lines, 813-639-8255. That's the number you can give us a call at. And today's topic, it's really exciting. We're going to be talking about friends with benefits. Interesting topic.
Everyone's heard of it.
Everyone's had it.
Everyone's had it.
Everyone's know it.
Or they don't want to admit it, but they have.
Exactly. You either, if it hasn't been you know somebody who is close to you.
That's the official. It's complicated status.
Now, when you have the it's complicated, it's a friends with benefits.
But if you are true friends with benefits, it's not complicated.
It shouldn't be complicated. That's the whole thing. It's not supposed to be complicated.
It's not supposed to.
Because again,
it does. It always turns into that.
It does. And looking up it was really funny. I decided to do a little bit of research, and according to Urban Dictionary, it's basically two friends who have a sexual relationship without being emotionally involved. Right. Typically, two good friends who have casual sex without any monogamous relationship or any other kind of commitment.
Right.
It pretty much sums it up. That's very true. That's how it should be.
Right.
But what ends up happening is people start making it confusing.
Right.
People start either involving emotions, you want more. One side always, at the end of the day, eventually starts wanting more from the other side.
And I think that happens when that wasn't set right from the beginning.
And that's why in any communication, I mean, in any relationship, I always say, communication.
Right.
It doesn't matter whether it's friends, whether it's family, whether it's relate couples, anything. Your dog, communicate.
Right.
That's the only way it's going to be successful. I guarantee you, communicating. Well, let's go ahead. You know what I mean? Now,
let's first cut the confusion. If that person is just coming over and just has sex with you, that's not friends with benefits.
That's not friends with benefits.
That's a booty call.
No, that is a booty call. Let's go. I want to jump first. Let's go straight to the 10 rules for friends with benefits. Right. I decided to go look them up. Got my source directly from thoughtcatalog.com. Again, these are 10 rules for specific friends with benefit. The first one, pick somebody you wouldn't normally date.
Right.
Very true.
Very true.
If you're going to sit up here and actually date this person, be able to go out to the movies,
you can't put them in this category.
You can't put them in this category. That you start building
You're sabotaging it. it by doing
it
that.
starts getting too personal there, in my opinion.
Right.
Number 2, insist that things will not get complicated. We just talked about that. When it's friends with benefits, it should not be complicated, in my opinion.
Exactly.
Why were you feeling like it's a complicated situation?
Somebody always catches feelings.
That's the eventually, that's the issue. Somebody gets those feelings, and that's when I agree. It does become complicated. But if you can separate those, it shouldn't be complicated.
I also agree with the fact that, if you make it clear from the beginning, then it really doesn't.
That's what it is. Communication. Regardless,
it
communication.
Shouldn't, but sometimes it still does.
It does sometimes, but I've
what it is too, like somebody always wants to, like they know, but they don't want to admit it.
Right.
So because they don't want to admit it, they want to feel like, oh, well, I'm still oblivious.
Or they maybe don't really know that they were just a friend with benefit.
Some don't know. I'm not saying all don't know.
Some people think they were actually dating and like going towards a relationship.
Well, the issue is because they don't communicate and they play that game. We can all play that game, so we all know. So if you don't communicate, very true. I agree. When you do string along, that's very bad. But if you communicate from up front,
both parties should know that this is a friends with benefits situation. If only one person knows, then it's not friends with benefits.
It's not friends with benefit. If you both know it's friends with benefit,
if you're really friends,
that's when you
give
can
each other
honestly
that
say,
respect.
I have a friends with benefit, and I know I have one. That's when you can honestly say that. And it's funny because the third one says, don't text him for any other reason than sex. And that's what's crazy is even though sometimes you text people for just this reason, they still don't know it's friends with benefit.
Right.
They want to hang out. They want to go on dates. They want to hang out with you outside of the house.
My understanding of like friends with benefits, like last week we broke down different relationships and stuff like that. So my understanding of friends with benefits is that you actually are friends. You can hang out, you can have fun, you can like do all those things. But it's you're not going to get emotionally involved.
You can't. That's when you can't do. You can't be emotionally involved. Well, sometimes that's the whole thing. Is you just have to watch out what you start texting for, because that's what ends up happening. Is, in my opinion, when you start doing all these friendly things and start going out, you're doing these things that you typically would do with a partner, and they're just replacing that. And that's what ends up happening. That's when people start involving those emotions. That's why it should be almost like sex in a way. Like that's a friends with benefit.
But isn't that just a booty call then?
It's almost that borderline booty call. You're not calling them at night. You're not necessarily. You're just hanging out.
That's just a nice way of calling a booty call.
That's nice coding for a booty call in a way.
But what if, like, all right, so like, what if you are friends, you hang out, you laugh together, you could go out occasionally within friends or just by yourselves, but there's never going to be a relationship there.
So you want that person with benefits?
Isn't that friends with benefits? Isn't that not booty call?
That's... It is not necessarily booty call because you're hanging out, but that's what
made the difference.
What ends up happening is you get too involved with that person, being your friends. They're more than just benefits.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's where things get confusing and things can get weird because now we're hanging out, now we're personal, now we're hanging out with each other's friends. So now are you leading on to believe that something else can happen?
It depends. Like, that's where it goes back to communication.
And even with communication, you're spending so much time with this person. Is it going to just be automatically assumed that's going to be the next step?
Right. And that's why the second rule was insist things will not get complicated.
You can't make them
going back to, saying, in keeping that line going, this is what this is. Like, this is what this is. It's not going to be anything more than this.
It won't pass. It's like number 4, have him slap you across the face.
Oh, wow, I can't believe that one's there.
No, that one's a little crazy. I hate face slapping.
I don't. No one touches my face.
No one touches my face. Even playing around, no one touches my face.
Yeah, no one does that.
But I agree with the other one. Don't make pancakes. You start like pancakes is kind of personal.
Like,
if you're cooking for the person,
it's true.
You know what I mean? That means it was good. I mean, not saying that it can't be good no other way, but that's going to be that hanging out mode. Like, you start, again, you're involving too much. You're making it complicated. Now I'm cooking for you.
Right.
You don't just
That means we're going to lead into like hanging out on Saturday all day.
Right. Exactly. We're going to have breakfast. We might as well just keep hanging out.
Right.
Why are we going to stop? Come on, let's continue hanging out.
Right.
Number 6, don't kiss him goodbye. Now that is very true. Like, why do you have to tap kiss goodbye? That's not a friends with benefit. You can say goodbye and close it there. Yeah. That's involving emotions. When you're, let me give you a tap kiss goodbye. That's a personal closing, even if it's in the house. And you know what's so funny is when just like, let's do it in the house really quick before we open the door. Like, it's not necessarily said, but it's implied. You can tell.
It's implied.
You can tell. Let's kiss before we open the door.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, so automatically those boundaries are being stepped, in my opinion.
Absolutely. What's the next one? Break it off after 3 months or don't. I don't know how. Wow. I don't know how that one works.
So they can be a friends with benefit with over 3 months. So meaning if they go 3 months, it becomes. And I can understand that.
There's like a scientific fact out there that says that when you have a crush on someone for longer than 4 months, it turns into falling in love.
And that's probably why.
So maybe that's why they set that
or don't do it, rule. And you're probably going to fall back into it. I mean, it won't be no more friends with benefit. Yeah, right. I can understand that.
Yeah.
But again, that's what, we'll talk about that in a second, because that's when it kind of gets fishy.
It comes back to investing time and how emotions develop.
Right.
When you start spending that much
more and more time with the person.
3 months, 4 months, 5 months, a year and a half.
You're more invested.
Right. Yeah. You can't blame someone
for having feelings. Yeah.
Well, that's the issue. You can't blame them for having feeling. It's when you start involving those feelings and then you start assuming and making assumptions that it should be this way when it started out a different way.
Right.
And that's when feelings start getting hurt.
Like, have you ever seen that Instagram picture where it shows like 4 different pictures and it's all these it looks like a couple doing all these activities, and then at the end it says, but I told you I just wanted to be friends.
Right, exactly. But we're doing all these couple things.
We're doing all these couple things.
That's why it says don't text them for any other reason. Don't make it complicated. Don't do it with someone you normally would date like that, because you are starting to make things difficult. A friends with benefit should be just friends with benefit. If you have potential with this person, keep them on a dating level. If it doesn't work out, move away from the dating level. Don't try. That's what ends up happening is you try to make someone that's dateable more permanent than temporary.
Right.
So they're still around. You're thinking, oh, this is a good friends with benefit. When no, this is somebody that was dateable. Something didn't work out. Let me step away for a little bit. Maybe come back to it later. But no, you try to still kind of keep them along, and then it becomes too long. And then now you're not going to date now. There's too much that happened.
Sometimes at 3 months, that might even be too much.
Again, that's long. 3 months is a long time.
It is. Like, it could fly by, but at the same time, when you're being intimate with someone, it could still be a long time.
Of course. I mean, in 3 months, number 8, fall in love with him. Don't do it. That's very true. Number 8 is you don't do that.
You don't do that.
That's what happens is you don't want to end up, sometimes with the benefit, so much. Or her, yeah, exactly. Number 9, reach your breaking point. Stressful, not communicating, worrying too much.
Don't hold on to something isn't going to work out.
Talk about it. You know what I mean? Talk about it, communicate, be honest with yourself. That's what that one should be as well. And number 10, send him or her on their way. Very true. When it's time, and when when people are temporary and they meet their purpose, as I discussed last week, let them go. That's it. They've met their purpose. I'm going to move on from it, and it is what it is. That's how I say.
And I mean, hopefully, what you should be doing that anyway, because you want to open yourself up to something real and good and honest.
I mean, what if you're wasting all that time with that person?
Exactly.
And
that's also the thing. You get involved with the wrong person.
Exactly.
You can get involved with the wrong person. That's also the thing. And it kind of brings me to one of those things. Do you feel like once a friends with benefit, always a friends with benefit? Do you feel like they can actually cross over, or do they stay into that point right there?
I don't think there's ever like an exact rule to it. I think there's always exceptions to any case in any scenario. So absolutely, it could be the type of scenario where you could go from being friends with benefits to turning into a real relationship. The odds of it are just less.
Now, the issue is if it does cross over, how do you feel about that? Because I think sometimes with friends with benefit, you end up revealing, if you're not just sexual, which it should be, if you end up being one of those friends with benefits where you're secrets and you start opening up and things like that, what if you've told this person something that's too much? How can you move on from that?
It depends on that bond, because if it was good and it was solid and there's no judgment and there's none of that, then you'll get through anything. You were able to be just honest and real with each other, and that's what makes for a good relationship. Right. So as long as that's there, but if there's insecurities, if someone's jealous, if someone's all these,
and that's what ends up happening is someone ends up being a little bit more jealous because they're still on that friends with benefit level.
Right. So that's going to sabotage any relationship.
I mean, have you had friends with benefits?
I plead the fifth.
I love it. Have you had any friends with benefits? Oh man, we will kiss and tell. Well, you know what? Then I'm going to be so nice enough to tell you guys that I'm going to plead the fifth as well. That's so great. You know what I mean? Everyone else is doing it, so I'm just going to go ahead and join those bandwagons. But at least we all know about it. Either someone's been there, someone's done it. I kind of don't. I feel like they're there. In my opinion, they're there. They're there. They met a purpose. They did it. You did it. You got it done.
Look. I think we've all pretty much given it away by pleading the fifth. It just has to be a mutual thing.
And that's where it gets, but I'm not going to lie, it does get confusing. I mean, I'm not going to say it doesn't get confusing.
Right.
Crossing over is definitely a possibility that where I can see where you're coming from, but that's where it also starts getting confusing because in my opinion, you start building this mentality that this is what they are, this is where I'm going to keep it, and all of a sudden, now maybe you're dreaming 3 to 6 months down the road that it's something else. No. And that's where ladies, I think, fill their minds up too. You guys are just so like, in like that pretty pink, you know, pony land.
You guys
are
with rainbows.
That's the difference between men and women.
Right.
You know, our emotions are always going to lead the way, no matter.
That's the thing is, well, I think also females jump in it with good. Females jump in it with anticipation that it's always going to be more, and even sometimes when you do tell females that this is what it is, they always still see it as more. And I'm not saying that males are too like that, but
that's after you pass the threshold of having already been intimate with someone. Because for females, it is more true. Even though there are like women out there who can, you know, have sex and not emotionally get involved. But for the most part, most women will have sex and eventually get emotionally involved. Whether it's good for them or not, they do.
Right, I agree. And make sure you call us. Give us your opinions. 813-639-8255. I don't think we're having phone line issues this week.
Right.
We weren't last week, but we were the week before. It's okay. But again, 813-639-8255.
Yeah, you could tell us your story, or you could just ask a question.
Ask a question.
Ask a question.
Feed up our opinions and whatnot. But again, I think even, you know what's so funny is, it's crazy. I mean, and then this was my mentality back then. I was really young. I was very selfish. But I always felt like kissing to me was like kissing intimate was so much more intimate than just like being sexual with somebody. No, it's crazy. You know what I mean? But I mean, like, you know, and like, I mean, I can all say, like, at one point in time, we've all had, whether we want to admit it or not, like that whole one night stand thing. You know what I mean? Whether we're drunk, want to admit it or not. And I feel like that kissing, when I was younger, was so much more of an intimate thing to do than sexually giving yourself to someone if it was in that one night stand situation. I don't know why. I always kind of felt that way. And that's kind of with that whole friends with benefit. If you don't take it to that level of intimacy, if it's just that whole benefit thing where you're pleasing the person, like, that's where it's going to stay, in my opinion. That's why it doesn't cross. Again, that's why I feel like it doesn't cross over.
And there's going to be a difference of opinion on this because this all depends on what kind of relationship. I think we have a caller.
All right, caller. Thank you for calling Gay Guy Straight Girl. What's your name and where you're calling from?
Hi, this is Vanessa.
Hey, Vanessa. And where you calling from, Vanessa?
Tampa.
All right, Tampa. All right, Vanessa. Well, if you've been listening in, we're talking about friends with benefit. Yeah. Is that something you've dealt with yourself?
Well, I'm not actually. I was offered, and I ended up rejecting.
So you ended up rejecting someone's offer to be their friends with benefit.
Right. It started out as, well, at least on my end, I was, you know, wanting to have a relationship.
Okay.
And it ended up being a sexual relationship. And then it ended up where I was having more feelings, and so I wanted, you know, something a little bit more, and basically he was like, well, I'm not really feeling it, and, you know, I just don't feel the connection, so, which is fine, you know, but then afterwards he was like, well, we can still be having sex if you want, and I was like, and then I didn't even respond, because this all happened over a text message.
Oh, wow. So that there was no kind of personal there. It was just text.
No. It was like complete disconnection, and it felt like a slap in the face.
Right. Well, it happens. And, sorry, not that I'm slapping you in the face.
And I didn't even respond.
Right. Okay.
And then a week and a half later, he's like, how are you feeling? And I was like, I didn't even know how to respond. And I was like, so I was just like, you know, I played it off, and I was like, I'm fine.
Right,
and,
good.
And then he's like, did you feel offended by what I asked you? And I was like, yeah, because, you know, how dare you say you don't, you know, want a relationship, but then you want, like, all the benefits for free.
Right.
It always felt like it was always on, like, his time schedule. It was always what benefited him, and it had nothing to do.
It was selfish.
It was more selfish. I mean, obviously the friends with benefit part was offered, but it was completely on his side. That was you can tell it was selfish.
On his terms, and it was a selfish situation. Had it been perhaps something that you said to yourself, you know what, I'm not feeling him in that way either, and, you know, but physically we have a chemistry. Would you have probably considered it?
You know what? I probably would have considered it if I felt like I was being treated more like a human being.
I was just going to say, made you feel better about it.
If it was respectful. Respectful.
Right. I mean, I felt more like, oh, well, you know, as like it was on his call.
Right.
And I didn't feel like, you know, he was respecting me in any kind of way.
Absolutely. And you made the right choice because that was disrespectful.
Definitely made the right choice. It took that borderline selfishness, disrespectful. He put it out there, and it completely was only beneficial for him. I was
able to tell that. It's the kind of thing that when you see on your phone, you're like,
what
the guy has nerve. Like, are you serious?
Did this really just happen? Is this for real?
Exactly. Benefit.
Oh my God! Is this like friends for his benefit? That was it.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, Vanessa, thanks for giving us your awesome. That was awesome. Thanks for giving us your story. That was great. Make sure you keep tuning into us every Wednesday from 8:30 to 9:30. We always have great things to talk about. All right.
Thank you, Vanessa. See you tomorrow.
You're welcome. All right, and that was very good. Like exactly what she said. You know. It's possible. We'll consider it, but don't make us feel slutty. Don't make us feel degraded, disrespected. You know what I mean? Sometimes make it just let it happen by itself.
Right.
You know, she said it. We were doing it. It was. I mean, not even like that. You know, we were sexual already. We were like that, and then he put it off like, oh, there was no connection. It wasn't like that, but let's still have sex. No, that was just. Some things you just, I mean, hey, to you, guy, whoever you were, you're a loser. Because some things you just keep to yourself.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I don't mean that in a bad way. Don't go beat me up when you see me in the parking lot. But, you know what I mean? Hey, I have protection. No, I'm joking. But, you know, some things just... You know, that's where I hope he learned. You know, some things you just don't say. You might think it, just don't say it.
And obviously he knew he was wrong because he texted a week later.
Did I offend you? Yes, you did offend us. Yeah, of course.
You know, you did because you acknowledged it by asking the question.
Big time.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. And, you know, that's exactly what ends up happening. And that's great. We have a second caller. So let's take our next caller. Caller, thank you for calling Gay Guy Straight Girl. What's your name and where you're calling from?
Cedric.
All right, Cedric. Cedric, where are you
calling from? Land O'Lakes.
Land O'Lakes. All right, Land O'Lakes, Florida. You make butter there? No, I'm joking. Anyway. All right, Cedric. Well, today's topic is hot. It's about friends with benefit. Have you ever either dealt with it on a personal side or knew somebody?
I'm dealing with it right now. I'm a maintenance guy. I work on some pretty high maintenance people, and I met this female, and she wants me to be her friends with benefits now, and I've been dealing with her for like 3 or 4 months, and I want to take it a little further, but I'm afraid I'm out of her league.
Why do you feel like you're out of her league?
Okay.
Because she's pretty up there in the socioeconomic class, and I'm the maintenance guy, and I'm just there to fix her.
Does she make you feel?
I was going to say, does she make you feel like you're not in her league, or she doesn't make you feel that way?
Right.
I mean, we hang out and, you know, cuddle and stuff, but as far as, like, when the sunlight comes up, she has to go, I got to go, and, you know, there's no real plans after that. It just happens when it happens.
Have you ever talked to her about it?
I'm planning on talking to her.
Right. So is it like you're dealing with it in the sense that it's already there? Your guys are already being sexual and whatnot?
Yeah. We definitely.
That's how it started off from the very beginning. Let me get that straight. Right?
Yeah. I mean,
are you gaining?
I cut a line. I fix her. Okay. I do a pool and all this other stuff. And
are you gaining any feelings for her, or are you strictly really like?
He wants to take it to the next level.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to take it to the next level. Right. I mean, I think we got good chemistry. It's just she's kind of up there. I'm doing the maintenance. Not saying that I'm bad, but I mean.
Now, and I don't know if you said this and I may have missed it. Is she giving you any kind of vibe that that's something she could possibly consider, or that's nothing you've ever even discussed?
Yeah, have you picked up on anything?
Have you picked up on anything?
I mean, we're really affectionate and we have a good conversation, but,
Has it ever been about you guys?
During the daytime hours, we're not, she doesn't contact me during the daytime hours. It's only during the night. And
well, that's probably a bad sign.
Well, if she was to say, I mean, are you willing? Let's say, for example, you tell her and she says no, like that's not what I wanted, and then all of a sudden it hurts you guys' feelings, and you try to break it off. Are you willing to break it off right there and then, or do you still want to continue something? Like, what are you willing to when you decide to tell her that day to break it off if that's not something she wants to pursue with?
I mean, I'd rather have something rather than nothing, but I don't want to waste my time, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can be out looking for somebody else.
Right. So I feel then, you know what, you go ahead and tell her, don't waste your time, you know what I mean? I bet you're a great guy and probably can find something out there.
I mean,
just put it out there. Right, just put it out there.
The worst she can say is no.
Right. It's better
honestly,
than regret.
Do you guys think it'll be better with a text or like a letter?
No, not text. We just had to say the previous caller and that whole conversation was by text. It's not personable.
No serious relationship
it's not
talk.
serious.
Nothing like that should ever happen during text.
If you want to take it serious,
texting is for fun,
right?
Texting is for logistics. Like I'm on my way, or what's the address? Like,
right.
Texting should be for that.
It shouldn't be for that.
Like it's either for funny stuff or logistics. Real conversation should happen face to face. If you have to do them by phone,
or like what? Yeah. I'm kind of confused. What should I do?
I say put yourself out there.
Just
my personal opinion. Yeah, put yourself out there. Tell her how you feel, but be prepared to listen, to hear, that it's not going to go the way you want it.
That's why I play the devil's advocate.
Just open up about how you feel.
Right. Open up and ask, be prepared to hear both sides.
Ask her out on a date if you want, and during the day.
Right.
I'm planning on doing it like, during the morning time when she's about to go to work and I'm about to leave. That way, if it's awkward, I'm leaving anyways. And
exactly. That's the best way to work for you to make sure that after that you don't have to deal with her anymore. Whatever makes you feel comfortable. Make sure you do feel comfortable. That's what's going to make you express yourself more and be honest. And again, don't hold anything back. Again, don't necessarily say anything that you know is going to offend anyone, but don't hold it back. Be honest. That's what's going to truly show and exactly got it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you guys for your advice.
Thank you for calling.
Make sure you keep tuning in.
Tune in every Wednesday, 8:30 to 9:30 p.m.
Okay, I'll let you guys know how it goes. I listen all the time.
Oh yes, call in next week. We want to know.
Next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. And that's great. And it's crazy. I just got an email from someone on our Facebook, just asking, like, again, when we have certain topics, does it have to be particular to friends with benefits or can it be general relationship questions? Mm-hmm. We are open to anything. That's what I mean. We are a relationship show, reality, talk show. So, again, you can call us with anything you like. And we have another third caller. Sorry, I keep hitting the mic. Mm-hmm. Caller, thank you for calling Gay Guy Straight Girl. What's your name and where you're calling from?
This is Zach from Tampa, Florida, baby.
Hey, Zach from Tampa, Florida. All right, Zach. So let's see here, Zach. Go ahead and give us your question.
All right, well, let me ask you this, guys, because I have a lot of friends, of course. And one of my friends is having a serious issue with her boyfriend, and she always comes to me for help and advice. And I'm not too sure what to do in this situation. So basically, she has decided that it is okay for her boyfriend to have all social media access, has her passwords to everything, Facebook, Twitter, and her boyfriend goes on there and monitors her stuff and this and that. Do you believe that is way too controlling?
Of course. That's not just controlling. There's no trust there.
Right.
There's no trust. If you don't remember, that foundation on a relationship is trust. If you don't have trust, what do you have? That's all control. Of course, that's control and no trust. Right. What did she make him? And again, without personally telling us again, do you feel like she led him to believe that there was no trust at one point, or he's just really that controlling?
Well, that's the thing is, I don't think that she's done anything to make him feel like he needs to control her. But the thing is she lets him control.
Sometimes
and it's really annoying, actually.
Does she? Okay, you just said it. She lets him control. Does she like it? Because again, it's bad to say, but some girls love it. Some girls love being controlled.
Well, I mean, there's the limit.
There's that limit, but obviously, if she's dealing with it, she doesn't.
There's that
mind
good jealousy, and then there's that possessive, controlling kind of jealousy that can happen.
And you don't even have to do anything. It's there. That's how they are. And
that's not healthy. That's not healthy for him, and that's not healthy for her.
How long have they been together for, if you don't mind me asking?
They've been together for about 1.5 years now.
Okay. And has it always been this way, if you know, or?
Well, let me tell you, they've actually both cheated on each other several times as well.
Oh, so there's no trust there. There's no trust there.
If there's any if there's any opinion and honesty that I can tell you is, you being her sincere friend, if that's how close you are to her, and I'm not saying talking or doing into it, it's not going to work out anymore. There's no trust. They're only together, if they can listen up to this, they're only together because it's comfortable. They're in a comfort box and they feel like it's comfortable. This is what they're used to.
Right.
I don't have to go anywhere else. I'm used to this already. But I guarantee you,
they're afraid of letting go at this
They're
point.
afraid, but it's not going to work. They're holding on to something that 1.5 years ago, that's what it was.
Right.
It's not what it was anymore. That's why they have these trust and issues. That's why they're having these issues with, I need this to trust you and I need this to trust you. I guarantee you, that trust is a big thing. Communication's even bigger. If they can't communicate to each other how their day is going without having to check their Facebook and personal information, the trust was gone long time ago. Right. It's best that whatever they can do to separate, and again, whatever works for them, obviously, the better they can do it, but they're holding each other on at this point. It's not going to work out. I mean, and I know it's hard to tell a friend that because you want the best for their friend. You don't want to hurt their feelings. And trust me, they can cry now about it, and I guarantee you, a few months later, they're going to be happy that they moved on from it.
A true friend isn't there to make sure that you're happy at all times. If you need to hear the truth.
Oh, and I tell the truth, as you can see.
Yeah.
So
sometimes you have to be the bearer of bad news.
Have she even thought about that? Have she actually come up to you and, said, I know this is not going to work out, but what am I doing? Has that been in her mind at all or no?
Well, no, actually, let me tell you, she actually was walking to her car with me today. I was going to take her home, and she called, or she was on the phone with her boyfriend, and they were yelling at each other, and he got so upset at her because she was talking to me while they were on the phone, and it was just because I'm a guy. So, I mean, they're definitely, it's going downhill.
It's going downhill. It's coming to an end. Right. I mean, it's hard. It's harder said than done. We all get that, but in reality, they know it's going to happen. The best thing is to just end it as quick as they can.
Well,
just support her,
that's what she has to do. But she has to reach her breaking point. She has to reach her breaking point. All you could do is be honest with her. Tell her how you see it, and just be there for her when she needs you.
Tell her to also watch this segment of the show, and she'll get it too. I guarantee you. Tell the people who don't even know her why her to watch this part of the show. Let it go. It's time to let go.
People don't let go of bad relationships until they've reached their breaking point. They have to reach that breaking point all on their own. And as friends, all you could do is be honest and then be supportive.
Right.
That's,
Well, awesome, guys. I really appreciate the help. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Make sure you keep tuning in every Wednesday from 8:30 to 9:30. I guarantee you we'll always have something you're intrigued about.
Yes.
All right. Take care, guys.
You too.
Bye-bye.
And yes, very true, guys. When it comes with that, even with Friends with Benefit, when you can take it back to the topic, is when it's time to finish, it's time to finish.
It's time to go,
what I mean? It's time to let it go, because sometimes you are straggling along. You are holding on to something that either was or shouldn't be anymore. You know what I mean? And it hurts. We all know it hurts, and it's a lot easier said than done, but we know it should be done. You know what I mean?
And the thing is, realize what you deserve. Right?
Know your worth.
Know your worth. Realize what you deserve. And then also say to yourself, I don't want to go into this relationship where I'm the only one pushing for it.
Right.
This relationship should be something that we both really want.
Yes, that we both really want to happen.
It's like a lot of people are like, it should be 50-50, but I think it should be 100-100.
Right.
If both sides aren't putting their all into it, then there's no reason to hang on. Especially at this point in our lives.
Especially at this point. I wish I would have asked one final question, which was, what was their age? Because that plays a big factor too. Are they younger, where their mentality is still, I'm not gonna ever find anybody better, or are they more mature in the sense that okay, maybe I'm gonna learn a little bit better. This is gonna be my experience, and I can move on from it.
It makes you more disciplined. I mean, it should make you more disciplined.
Not everybody learns, but it definitely should. It definitely should. All right, we have another caller. It's a hot topic. Caller, thank you for calling Gay Guy Straight Girl. What's your name and where you're calling from?
Well, howdy, y'all.
Howdy. Sounds familiar. What's your name and you're calling from?
Well, I'm Betty Lou. I'm coming from a little town called Abilene, Texas.
Hey, Betty Lou. Yes, Betty Lou. I think we remember you from before, Betty Lou. You. That's awesome. We've missed you. Where you've been?
Yes.
Oh, I just been hanging around and doing my thing, We all don't have, horses and whatnot, but we do like to watch your show.
All right, well, that's great. I'm glad you've been watching our show. We do appreciate it. Well, Betty Lou, we're talking about some interesting stuff tonight. Friends with Benefit. Is that something you've ever dealt with yourself?
Oh no, because that just complicates things. You get a guy in, and you come to this thing, and then you try to be friends afterwards. Eventually, I'm going to get involved, and then it's going to be a whole other ball game because one's going to be one to have a relationship,
right,
and
and that's what ends up happening, right?
It's just a nasty business.
I understand it. If you can stay away from it, hey, it's best. You know what I mean? I get it. Sometimes that's what happens is people start. One person always gets more emotionally attached than the other.
Yeah.
And I get
it. It's just best to if it's just about doing anything in the bedroom, then do thing in the bedroom and then keep it out and then don't worry about it again.
That's it. I totally agree. Have you ever had a friend who dealt with the friends with benefit where you had to kind of give her advice?
Give her that advice, yeah.
I'm sorry?
Have you ever had that friend who dealt with friends with benefit where you had to give that advice?
Well, no one ever listens to little on me, but, I try my best to tell people.
Well, I think you're very wise. So
I think you're very wise, of course.
Well, being only 42 years old, I've kind of learned what to do with my life and what's not. So that's just how I have to roll sometimes.
I get
that's
it,
a good
Betty
way to
Lou.
roll.
Exactly.
Don't get messy. Don't get complicated.
I love it. Well, thank you for giving us a call tonight, giving us your support and showing your support. We love you very much. Make sure you keep tuning in every Wednesday, all right? 8:30.
I will. Y'all have a great night. Bye,
you too. Good night. Thank you. Much love. All right. Yes, Betty Lou. So it's good to know she's still watching the show.
I'm glad to hear she hasn't gone.
But no, it's very true. And, even when what happens when you have that friends with benefit, you end up still being friends with friends with that person and don't have the benefits. Do you think that's something that should continue? Because, again, you talk about crossing over. They can go into that next relationship. Could that next relationship just be a friendship? And no benefits, and now they're just your friends?
Depends on the friendship from the beginning.
Right. I mean, where do you take it, though?
Right? I don't know.
Yeah, why not?
But now, again, what happens when you get a partner? Do you tell that partner that this one friend that you hang out with was somebody you're friends with benefit?
I live by the don't kiss and tell rule. It's nobody's business. If you weren't there before, it's not your business. You know what I mean?
You just got to make sure no one else knew about it.
Yeah, if there's nothing going on, then...
Would you go as far as now introducing your old friends with benefit to your partner now?
It depends on the relationship, really.
Yeah, I think that's wrong.
Friends with benefits should stay friends with benefits.
I think that's a little sticky, and you're gonna get yourself into trouble because eventually truths have a way of coming out,
and they will come out.
Alcohol
and fun times make them come out.
Some people can deal with it, and some people can't. So it.
I get with the whole dealing with it, but again, it just gets. What if some people always have things they have that one finger over you, that one over, you know what I mean? So, there's going to always be that wink, and oh man, like, did anybody else catch that wink?
Or you're out and there's alcohol involved and something goes a little too far.
Someone's going to, that hug might be there and one person may say, oh man, like that looks kind of close. When then something really, and then all of a sudden 6 months down the road, someone finds out and now someone feels food. Friend or foe with the whole friends with benefit continuing on past friends with benefit and becoming friends?
To a certain degree. Very limited.
Friends or foe? I think you pick friends. You kind of made that clear. Yeah. I say foe. You know that. I say keep them as friends with benefit.
I say to a certain degree. I think you could be cordial. You could be.
It's hard. You can hang out like you used to. Well, you can be cordial. I'm not saying be enemies. Foe's kind of bad because foe's enemies. Right. I get it. Don't be enemies, but you can be cordial, but it's not the person you want to have at every function you're going to, every friend you want to invite them. Now you want to start announcing them to your friends and to your partners.
Listen. I think it comes down to what happened before they even had sex to begin with. If they were really close friends, it happens. You have a really close friend, and it might be a one.
But how did that? So how did you guys stop the whoop-de-whoop?
It doesn't have to continue. Like you said, it does. It's not something that should
continue past 3 months.
It could happen once or
twice.
But
see, now that's the issue. Is you leave it. I feel like you leave that door open to where it can be continued again.
If you're single, do what you want to do. Right. If you're involved with someone, then, be a person of character.
I feel like you're keeping
that. There's circumstances, I guess.
That person that should be in the black book, that you lose the black book, I feel like that's what you're kind of keeping around. Mm-hmm. I don't know. This is great.
Yeah, it's a good conversation. I think this is one of those that we could just keep going.
To me, it's similar. It's similar. Think about it. It's similar. Having that friend for benefit and then not doing it anymore is kind of being that friend is like that ex relationship.
Right.
Oh, we ex used to have sex. I mean, you know what I mean? That is an ex in a way.
So it's always going to be complicated no matter what. Then
and that's what you're saying. Get out of a complicated situation, in my opinion.
Right.
Don't stick yourself in complicated situations.
And like that's that might be the rule, but there's exceptions to every rule. That's all I think me and Monica are saying, that there are exceptions to the rule. However, for the most part,
generally speaking,
right. And I get it. Don't get me wrong. There's exceptions to everything in this world. You know what I mean? We do something, there's an exception to it. Right. You know what I mean? I'm Draking this, and there's an exception. Anyways, I'm not going to say that exception. But no, I want to list a couple of stats really quick in regards to Wayne State University and Michigan State University did a study on some undergraduate students in regard to friends with benefit. And of course, not surprisingly, 60% of the college students have been in some form friends with benefit relationship. I mean, of course, you're in college. It's very common. I'm not saying it's not.
And that's the 60% that admitted to it. So.
And, that is the 60% that admitted to it. And again, they kept it as in, again, no romantic feeling was involved, but communication. They say no romantic feelings involved, but communication is key to not making it complicated.
Right.
To keeping it understandable and taking it easy. Right. And what's funny is out of those people that they actually did the survey on, 36% of them were actually involved in one at that
moment. Yeah.
Of course, again, it's typical.
Prevalent.
It's very, very, very.
Especially in college, right?
And that's the thing. In college is when you start exploring, you're out there, you're determining certain things. So college can be that place.
Yeah. I think society has made sex such a
taboo.
Such a
that's the thing. Sex is not personal. Intimate sex, love is personal. Sex is with anybody. Not saying like with you, but sex is with anybody. Love, making love is that whole thing you do, and it's intimate.
A big deal.
Sex is like in the bulletin boards. They put it in ads. This show's about sex, drugs, and music.
I think it's got to the point where a lot of people,
when
they're even in relationships, it's like they go and do whatever with whoever else.
I mean, because
like
it's no longer.
It's not a big deal.
It's not. I mean, it's become taboo. It's normal. It's, you want to just have sex? You know what I mean? We're both drunk. Let's just have fun. We're female, male, straight. You know what I mean?
Or maybe it was always happening.
Female, whatever works. Gay, doesn't matter.
Now.
It's more acceptable. Sex is not as obviously. That's why people are just having kids with just people. You know what I mean? It's not that.
But that was always happening.
And that's another thing. What happens
when
if
you have children?
You have a friends with benefits,
and
then bam, hello.
That's what ends up happening. What? And again, that's just that scenario where you have to take that step. You have to be responsible. I'm not saying don't be responsible. You know what I mean? Take care of your responsibility at the end of the day, because you have to be responsible for this now newborn person that you brought into this world.
Right.
But now, if that's what happens, you now decide, hey, do we want to now try this out and be together, or do we want to keep it as it is? Maybe not even have sex anymore because now we have a child. Let's not make things complicated, but let's take care of our scenario and our situation.
Which is not,
even
doesn't really happen. I think for the most part, they try to make it a relationship,
and then it don't work.
And then it doesn't work out anyway.
And they should have just probably tried that from the beginning. I bet it would have been more successful.
Right.
You know what I mean? And again, we talked about that level. Follow the levels of relationships. We talked about that last week.
Tune into that.
Go tune in last week. Follow the levels of relationship. It's key. If you don't follow the levels, you will get lost. It's key. It's really key. Well, again, guys, thank you for listening so much. I know we started a few minutes late, but no problems there. I'm so glad that we still had great listeners, awesome callers.
Yes.
The show was fantastic. Keep tuning in every Wednesday from 8:30 to 9:30, and keep calling in. We love you very much. Much love.
Thank you. Bye.
And thank you for my guest. She was awesome.
Yeah.
Special
Thanks
guest.
for having me.
Woo!
This program was brought to you by the Internet Broadcasting Organization, setting the standard for new media broadcasting.